Alrighty, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us here on the show. Today, here we have a special guest that honestly has pulled my heartstrings, made me just blush in amazement and watch with incredible success as I've got to know her through her content. Now, she is a best-selling author of the book Unfiltered, which is available on Amazon right now. She has the native reach of over 1 million people across multiple platforms, including 160,000 plus subscribers on YouTube, 296,000 followers plus on Facebook, another Facebook page, I think, with 400,000 followers, 340,000 followers on Instagram. She runs an 8-figure business, but it wasn't always the case. 13 years ago, she was a single mother on welfare, and today she reaches more than 1 million people every time she posts. She is the incredible leader, the amazing and inspiring influencer that is Rachel Pedersen. Rachel, thank you so much for joining us in the show. I am just thrilled to have you here.
Walt, thank you so much for having me. This is going to be a blast, I can tell.
This is going to be fun. I promise. I promise I will make you look good. And I honestly, that makes my job easy today because this is an amazing story. So I was looking through some of your history, and I've got a couple of your posts up here that I just want to kind of reference as I'm getting this through. TikTok famous and the opportunity. When is enough enough? That one really got me. An open letter, man, that one absolutely blew me away. It seems to me that your story is the essence of the phoenix. It's the rising from the ashes. It's coming from nothing. It's building up to something incredible. How did this all get started for you?
Oh my gosh. First and foremost, I always love the analogy of a phoenix because I was raised like in ashes. My whole world was pretty messy growing up. It was a pretty like volatile house that I grew up in. So I learned things like resilience and grit and how to, I guess, almost like visualize or daydream a better opportunity because there was a lot of alone time. And so that's kind of where I started to imagine things like, what if I wrote a book about like a dragon or a woman who drowns in a river? This sounds so morbid, but drowns in a river and comes back and her voice is able to bring things to life. And that was at the time of like, oh gosh, I was like 11 years old and I was writing these entire novels. But truth be told, my life was pretty bumpy. I kind of went down pretty rough paths for quite a few years. I was a big time party girl. I loved to have fun. I loved to go out, but it got me into a lot of trouble. And ultimately I became a single mom, ended up on welfare. And I just remember when my daughter was a few months old, I started thinking like, am I actively working to break the cycles I grew up in? Or am I by default just going down those same paths? I'm feeling like there's a dysfunctional relationship. I'm about to get evicted from a condo with a baby. Like just everything is falling apart. At that point, I'm an alcoholic because I can't even like function to face the day. Just shame is like taking over. And so it's interesting because I made decisions in that time where I looked at Dakota, my baby at the time, and I said, just so you know, life is never going to look the same again. I will not let us get here. But then, truth be told, it took about probably, gosh, 4 or 5 more years before I even started a business and things started to change. So, yeah,
Wow.
that's
Wow.
why.
There's Jim Rohn says there's a day that turns your life around. There's a day that you just say, enough's enough. I'm done and I will never be the same again. It sounds like that was the day for you. So, coming from this, you and I, we were talking just before I hit record. It was amazing. I was training an AI engine to say who's the best social media manager in the world, and your name came up. So, today, as we stand here, you
Yeah,
are widely acclaimed as the
thank you.
social media queen and as the best social media manager in the world. A short time ago, you started your business, and
Yeah.
now you have that opportunity, that influence. Where I was reading through your clients' native organic reach of over 100 million people in a year.
Mhm.
That seems like a rapid rise. When you
Yeah.
turned the dial, you're saying like there was 4 or 5 years between that decision and
Mhm.
the action. When you
Yeah.
turned the dial, it seems like you turned it to 11. Like what did you at that point that's just rocketed your
Yeah.
success so quickly?
So one big thing is that I'm not very patient. I notice a lot of other entrepreneurs feel the same way, right? Like we're not patient. We don't do good at like waiting your turn or sitting still and just like hope for the best, you know? So when I start to do anything, and this was true from the beginning of my business, I'm all or nothing. I am manically obsessed, play on words, but also manically obsessed, or I don't care anymore and I'm over it. And so instead of just like posting, the one YouTube video a week, anytime that I wanted to grow, I'd be like, I'm going to post 5 to 7 YouTube videos per week, full length and everything. When a lot of people were like, oh, I email my list like once a month to once a week, I was like, I'm going to email my list 3 to 5 times a day, not a day, a week, with massive, massive value and with systems and tips. So truth be told, I actually think it was one of my downfalls or weaknesses, the lack of patience that made me say, I'm going to kick it into next level. And truth be told, I think when you come from nothing, and I mean, like, I grew up in poverty. I think when you come from nothing, and you can tell me what you think about this. I don't know if you grew up in poverty or had like a wild background like that.
Basic.
Yeah, yeah. It's almost like you only know failure. So if you fall, it's kind of not that scary. It's more
Mm.
like I don't want to stay here. I need to figure something out. So I just go at that really, really hard with anything I do.
And do you think that's the same with anyone? Do you think that, like, looking at the success for your clients or people that you're working with, do you feel like that's uh, a lever you can pull for anyone in any business? If you do the right
Oh.
thing, it's great. But if you do the right thing at 10x, baby, stand
Mhm.
back. This is going to rock. Is that a
Oh,
formula that you engage?
yes, but there's one missing thing that most people don't understand. So a lot of people will be like, I want to do that. And they'll go and hire like an agency and they'll be like, I want to hit 100,000 followers. I want this, that, the other thing. They hire the agency's posting 5 to 10 times a day, and something just isn't clicking. And it's because everything has to start with the right fuel. So is the fuel like, I want this, I crave this, I desire this, etc. Like this is something good in my life, or is the fuel ego? And the interesting thing is based on what the fuel is, and I've seen this time and time again with clients, I won't say any names, but when ego takes over, it trickles down even in the videos that they create and the photos that they shoot and the things that they're talking about, whether it's ego or wanting to get revenge. If there's a negative fuel, it goes all the way through the pipeline.
Wow.
And I've seen this, and it's really hard to explain.
How
But
do you
I've
coach? How do you coach to conduct to combat that?
Oh man, I don't. And I know that sounds kind of weird, but I'm like, if I were giving you the marketing and the therapizing side of things, I'd have to charge a lot more and be a lot more credentialed.
Right.
But I'll sometimes just say like, hey, and I keep it light. Before you record your content, I want you to take 5 minutes. Here's a YouTube video I want you to watch, and just close your eyes, listen to this for 5 minutes. And sometimes that will help. But sometimes people will be like, I'm stressed and I have all this stuff to do in my business. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that is carrying over into your content and people are
Wow.
repelled because you're stressed. Yeah.
Wow. So
Yeah.
you're not coaching through it because everybody's got to walk their own path, right? Which is absolutely right. But what's the flip side of that, Rachel?
Yeah.
So if that ego or negativity is flowing into people's content and that's affecting them, they're doing all the stuff, but
Yeah.
it's not hitting the notes. What's the flip side of that? How do people approach it and
Yeah.
win?
Okay, so one of the biggest things is when you look at your entire business and everything you could create content about, don't create content about the stuff you hate. Don't create
Right?
content about the stuff that is exhausting to talk about.
Yeah.
I've actually seen a lot of influencers and some of my clients as well, where they never actually delivered anything about their actual business model. They only talked about like mindset or something. And it worked really well because they were so passionate about it that they
Mm.
attracted people to them. So look for what sparks like joy and love and a desire to, slow down and teach and support and inspire. Like when those things happen, that's the right fuel and that's the
I love
time to
it.
create. Yeah. Walt, sometimes I'll step away when I'm supposed to create content and I'll say, I'm cranky right now because I saw this one thing that made me like feel off. And my husband will be like, do you want to go play around a Mario Kart? Or do you want to make something, food wise? Like, let's get you into a different state. And then it helps me shift. And then I'm like, okay, now I can create again.
I love that. I love that. And looking at
Yeah.
your content, like when I look
Uh-huh.
at, I scrolled some of your Instagram reels and, as I mentioned before, we're just looking through to get to know you. You live that. Like I can look through your content. There's not, any posts I would say, like I'm sure there's probably 10% somewhere, but there's not any
Mhm.
posts that seem to be, you should do this in your business. This is how you're literally just talking about
Yeah.
who you are, what you're doing, how you're feeling, and the joy that you're bringing into the work that you have. Like you're living that. So getting into a different state, that's interesting to me. Again, is that a tip that you consciously do before you create? Are you
Mhm.
actively getting yourself into that state every single time?
Yes. So this is something I did for quite a few years and then I stopped doing it. And over the years, I noticed that my attitude and performance went down significantly, like
Wow.
across the board. And I was like, ooh, I'm seeing that. Like I'm having to restart some like positive momentum. And so I was pulling from old videos to like restart that and then get into a better state before creating. I do this before any part of my business now, and it has made a massive difference. Like I'm talking hundreds of percent worth of growth. But here's the biggest thing, like, Walt, I'm having fun. And so if
Yeah.
I'm having fun and I'm creating and enjoying the process, people sense that on the other side. And so the more you can get yourself into a good place before you create anything for your business, the better.
Nice. I read somewhere one of your posts, you were talking about not every post will go viral.
Yep.
So, and you talk a lot about the doctors call their office the practice. So,
Yes.
getting this content regularly, you're seeing hits. I'm seeing some of your TikToks are 500,000 views and above. And I know the TikTok channel's got an issue at the moment, but there's a rebuilding phase. And again, I'm seeing that
Yeah.
going through. So I'm loving the fact that I'm seeing you grow that again from nothing, which is incredible. But yeah, so some of your Instagram reels, some of your posts are getting 500,000 views, and some are
Hmm.
getting 150, but
Yeah.
it doesn't affect your cadence. You're literally just going through that practice to hit the thing. Can you tell me your analogy about the basketball side of things? Because I think that's really apt.
Which one?
You were
Which
talking about
basketball?
practice being on the court.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so this is really big. I think about this all the time. This is true for business owners, social media managers, marketers, anyone who has to create content. Most of the time, what we do is we're like, okay, I'm going to post 3 to 5 times a day. I'm going to supercharge things, make it happen. You do that for about a week. You don't get the results that you want, so you stop. But the thing about practice is it is not dependent upon whether or not you win a game. You don't say, "Oh, I lost that game. I this whole practice thing isn't working." And so I'm a big believer of call it a practice. This isn't something where you have to get results. Results might be like an added benefit. That's kind of exciting. Like as I'm building my TikTok back up for the second time, I'm like, you know what? I'm just going to get that practice in. I'm going to remember what it is to create new things and find new trends and all of that. It's just practice. And that really, it truly takes the pressure out of posting and creating. I think a lot about like all of the legends in basketball. I actually don't like basketball, which is really funny. I like football and other things, but not
Go with the
basketball.
field.
All the legends seem to talk about how they would like, go and do 500 shots every
Right.
morning before practice. And I was like, oh, I
Yeah.
love that concept. If we were all to just keep practicing, regardless of whether or not the results are coming, I think sometimes you get the results a lot faster because you stick on it.
I love it. I love it. I was listening to 10x is easier than 2x by Dan
Oh,
Sullivan the other day.
yeah.
I was talking about this concept of the off-camera work. And
Yeah.
this is exactly what you're talking about here, where it's the off-camera work. Even though you might have the camera on, it's not the post that goes viral that makes your viral post happen. It's all the posts in between where you're practicing your craft, when you're working out your message, and
Hmm.
then when you run on the field, you've taken enough throws, you've taken enough tackles, you've hit enough that one just rockets. And I love that
Yes.
analogy where we're talking about sporting superstars, the best quarterbacks in the world are
Yeah.
getting paid hundreds of millions of dollars to play 13 minutes on a Saturday, right? It's
Right.
like, but it's the off-field work that does it. So doing that practice. Rachel, so you've built this incredible following. You have amazingly loyal people who are in your threads and in your channel. And I see the ones that don't fit that mold, and that's okay because they're part of the audience as well.
Totally fine.
When did you start to describe yourself as an influencer?
This is interesting because I have never actually referred to myself as an influencer, with the exception of one weird round of bios. Randomly had influencer in it. I don't remember when or how it happened, but I remember one day I looked at my profile and I was like, influencer, no, take that off the list, which is interesting because I know I've built influence in the space of like business marketing and books, believe it or not. But I don't see myself as an influencer because our sponsorship deals that we make are a small part of our revenue. It's so small. So if anything, I'm like, okay, it's more like a business buddy who also recommends the best things, tries out tools. I don't know, but I don't see myself as, yeah, I don't see myself as an influencer. Isn't that weird? I've never,
It's very weird. I'm talking to
yeah,
Rachel Pedersen, and she doesn't see herself as an influencer. When you speak,
yeah.
people listen. Like
Well,
that's
thank you.
influence. You're amazing. So, I mean, take away the audience. You're a mom. You're an
Yeah,
influencer
thank you.
by default. Like what you say, people it matters to people, and they listen. So
Thank
I find
you.
that fascinating. So,
Yeah.
one of the things that you've talked about as well is that you have this highs and lows when it comes to fame and
Oh, yeah.
infamy and viral, standing on
Mhm.
stage, doing that kind of stuff, and physically asking yourself, "Whoa, that was a high and a bit of a
Yep.
crash." Like, damn, what's next? Do you still
Yeah.
go through that now? Do you still have that highs and lows with the feeling of success and content and message? And then, whoa,
Yep.
that's done. What's next? Do you still have that?
Oh, so there's two things, and they kind of intertwine. So there's that side of the business that we all experience, right? The high, and then the like, I just feel like dirt and nothing feels important because yesterday was so important or whatever. There's that side, and then there's also the side that I'm bipolar. And so because I'm bipolar, I naturally can feel myself shifting back and forth between, hey, let's go manic or hypomanic to let's stay in bed all day, like everything sucks. So something that I've been doing that helps with both sides of that equation, the bipolar and then the highs and then the crashes of reality. Number one is when I start to feel myself get way too amped up, I go, stop. The higher we go here, the lower the crash is going to be later. Because if something requires that energy and adrenaline, like we got to balance this out. Something that really helps me is when I get to do events and big things with Paul. My husband Paul is so great, and he's really balanced. Like nothing gets him excited about like meeting people or even talking to celebrities. He doesn't care. So he's just so calm that I can almost just go and like ground myself just by being with him.
Okay.
That helps a lot. And then something else that really has been helping too is I've been trying, this sounds so cheesy and so millennial, but I've been really working to like glamorize and love the moments in life that feel so mundane.
Tell me about
What I
that.
mean by that, you know how it's like you go and you speak at an event and then your kids are still like, Mom, come wipe my butt, or whatever. And you're like, I don't feel glamorous at all. I've started to just kind of fall in love with the in-betweens, the things that don't seem important.
Rachel,
And
are you telling me that you're living life? Is this what you're
yeah,
telling me? Are you
I'm
telling me
telling
that
you.
you're finding joy in
Yeah.
life? Is that what's going on here?
Yes.
That's fantastic.
Yeah. But I also think most people don't even know it exists
I
because
agree.
it took me a long time to experience it. But it's beautiful. So that helps me not get as jazzed about the highs. Be around people who like bring you back to earth a little bit because otherwise you start believing your own hype, which gets weird.
I love it. Well, I mean, you come across so beautifully well, so humble and yet so controlled in your direction, which is absolutely amazing.
Yeah.
You mentioned there's something about that I wanted to dive into for a second. So as we talk with influencers, and one of the things that constantly amazes me is that on a survey of school children, school aged high school kids, Over
Hmm.
50% responded to the question, what do you want to do after school, by saying they want to be an influencer. So we want to create this amazing space where people can
Yeah.
come and entertain, educate, be enthusiastic, and create that attention. You said something there about sponsorships, which I thought was really fascinating.
Yeah.
When did influence become cash flow?
Oh, for me, like when did I get my first sponsorship? It was, oh gosh, I don't want to mess up the dates, but I want to say it was close to maybe 7 years ago that I got my first sponsorship. Let's see, would that
What
be right?
happened? How did it come to be?
Oh, I don't even remember my first one, which is so actually, yes, I do. It it was 2015. I was still in my day job, and this guy was like, "Hey, I saw your videos. I like your videos. Would you be willing to try ghost pepper jerky on your channel for a reaction?" So I got a free bag of ghost pepper jerky. Did not want to eat more than one slice of it. It was hot, 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 hot. And I recorded a reaction video. That was my first one ever. And then I want to say, I don't
That
recall this.
brand, by the way, is celebrating their move right now. Like
Yeah.
7 years on, you're still chatting about it. It's amazing.
Isn't that
That's
so
cool.
funny? Yeah. And then I just, I got some smaller ones over the years where people would be like, can I pay you like $200 to post about us on Instagram? But I always had the rule, and this was really big, and I recommend this for anyone who's like new to becoming an influencer or getting sponsorships. I always said, like, I need to make sure that this brand aligns. So you have to either send me a sample or let me log into your software or see what like the back end of everything looks like. So I've heavily vetted a lot of my sponsorships, and it's kept me from ever feeling like a sellout, even
Yeah.
though there have been some big deals where I just couldn't recommend whatever it was they were offering.
Yeah, nice. I love it. So
Yeah.
is there a direct correlation for you in your following compared to your business income? Like is there a line that you can draw between both? As your influence is growing, so is your company, so is your so is the bank account?
Ooh, most of the time, yes, but there's one thing that I've noticed really overrides things, and that's if I'm like not mentally, but if I'm just in a funk for a while, it doesn't seem like we have any followers at that point or
Yeah.
email subscribers. It's impossible to get people to jump into anything because I'm not excited about it. But besides that, across the board, I've noticed like yes, which is kind of cool.
Can I ask you a favor? Can I get you to look back for a moment? I
Yeah.
when we started this call, I read out some numbers for you.
Hmm.
160,000 people subscribe to your YouTube channel.
Hmm.
Over 400,000 people follow you on one of the Facebook pages and another 300,000 people on another one. Over
Yeah.
340,000 people follow you on Instagram, right?
Hmm.
I just want to like get you to pause for a second and
Yeah.
look back at where you've come from
Hmm.
because those numbers are absolutely amazing. Like the view from where you're at, and I know you've still got mountains to climb, but the
Yeah.
view from where you're at, when you look back, there's a heck of a lot of people that are
Mm.
grateful to who you are and what you're doing.
Thank you.
And you're bringing that message with you all the way. And I couldn't
Yeah.
applaud you enough for that.
Thank you so much. I have a lot of moments where I sit back and I still, this is going to sound funny because I'm not like a celebrity or anything, but there are, I still feel like such just a normal person, like especially when I'm in my home setting and with my family. And so when I look at those kind of numbers, or like my kids have friends over and they'll be like, is that a YouTube subscribe play button? And I'm like, yeah, I get kind of like almost embarrassed, but then I'm like, wait a second, that's something to be so proud of. But it still feels wild because there's so much of me that is still the same girl who started this whole journey?
That's cool. And I think that's why it works so well for you. So what's a day in the life for you now? Like maybe even a week in the life. What is a day worth for you? What does a week look like? And you've got your team around you and the whole world going on. What does that daily life look like for you?
Okay, so Paul and I wake up in the morning. The first thing we do is we make the bed every morning. So we make the
Love
bed,
that.
we quick pick up the whole house before the kids wake up. It's usually only like a 5 minute pickup because we pick up usually close to before bed too. And then he gets the kids ready while I prepare our breakfast, like the healthy breakfast that we're eating. We usually go on a walk 2 to 3 miles in the morning and listen to memoirs from business owners and celebrities. And like Shoe Dog is our favorite, hands
Oh,
down. Isn't
like
it? You've
without a
read it?
doubt.
Oh my
Oh
gosh.
my God. Read it. I've
So
like
good.
ingested it. It's so good.
So good, so funny, so real, it's amazing.
Yeah.
Um, and then we actually, this has been the last couple of months, this has been newer. So we've actually been working in our like formal dining room, formal living room, and we're sitting side by side on the couch working on different things at the same time. So Paul's been getting cross-trained in how to manage social media like me, because
Hmm.
I love the idea of me being able to like airdrop photos and be like, hey, can you just post this? And he's also testing for something else, which is I'll talk about that in a moment.
Love it.
Um, and then yeah, we I make lunch at home 5 days a week. So I'll make lunch and then we eat lunch, we talk, we go on another walk, we play Mario Kart. Um, he does household things. I finish up work, and then this is like really boring. I feel like,
No,
but
this is life.
we take breaks where we write in our fantasy fiction novel throughout the day. And then, let's see, the kids, we do family dinners every single night. Him or I take turns cooking. We do a lot of movie nights, either with the kids or with me and Paul. And then every night I work on coding my new software that's going to be coming out very, very soon. So
I'm
that's
excited
like
to hear about that. We'll make sure we give that a big plug for you as well. What is
oh,
it?
it's,
Can you give us the over? What does it do, or is there? You want to keep the
yes.
wraps on it for now?
I can share this. It creates all of your content that's in your voice with one click. It's
Hell yeah! All
pretty cool.
right, and created by the social media queen herself. So this sounds super exciting. You're sitting on the
Yeah,
couch. You got the work going on.
yeah.
You've got the vision of the software coming through. You've got a company to run. How many people are in the team now with you?
Oh, I am so bad at keeping track of this. There are, all right, don't take my word for this because I'm not 100% at any given time. There are 6 full-time people, I'm pretty sure, but don't quote me on that, and 3 freelancers or part-time people.
Wow, amazing. So part of your work, I would imagine, is getting the next step over to them, keeping that big picture and making sure that they're all working in line. When did you get your first team member? Did you do
Ooh.
it solo for a while and then just like need somebody to help?
Okay, so I built this business of specifically the social media management side while I was still in a 9 to 5. So I was like working on my lunch breaks in the mornings, at nights, anytime I finished my work early. But I actually built up the side gig to fully replace my 9 to 5 before I left my 9 to 5. So I hired
Perfect.
a VA while I was in my 9 to 5 just to
Wow. Okay.
manage emails and make sure I didn't miss anything. Um,
Fantastic.
yeah, and I think I only had her for like 2 or 3 hours a week. So it was super affordable, but it like got me through the time where I was doubling up.
Wow, amazing. And I think that's such a massive lesson that entrepreneurs
Yeah.
learn by struggling. And it's great that you picked that up so quickly. And now, of
Yeah.
course, you get to be the conductor of the orchestra. While the orchestra are playing, you get to, set the beat, which is really, really cool. So starting now, as we said, you've got TikTok on the regrow. You've got
Yep.
this incredible software coming through. You've got great projects that you're working on. how how much of your energy is focused on what to do next, and how much of your energy is spent on who I am, what I do in here in the family, in the home? Like, what's your energy ratio, do you think?
Okay. Ooh. Um, what do we do next? That is probably I keep it low on purpose because otherwise I go all in too fast. And I've still done this very quickly. So I try to keep it under 40% focused on like what's next and new future projects that aren't immediately applicable. And I spend a lot of time, I'm overly introspective about like, how am I doing as a mom? What is my place in this world? What is my real identity? Am I loud or am I reserved? Like, or am I both? I don't know. I spend a lot of time learning about that. And then I end up going down psychology, like rabbit holes a lot, just to learn about the human brain. I find it so fascinating why we do the things that we do. So yeah, that's probably closer to like 60%. I don't know, is 120% an option? I think a lot about
Only
that.
for entrepreneurs. That's like there
Yes.
is only entrepreneurs have that setting. That's very cool. So,
Mhm.
would what's the biggest mistake you've made in this whole journey?
Oh my gosh, there's not just one. Some people I feel like can learn things from other people's mistakes and they listen to advice, and I'm not that person. So
Me neither.
I've learned you either. It's so hard. I've made pretty much every single mistake that you can make. And one of the big ones that I've made would be partnerships.
Mm,
Um, I'm not great at partnerships. I'm not even going to say it's the people that I tried to partner with. I think that the way I work is really hard for a lot of people. It's kind of obsessive, you know. If
mm.
I'm not careful, it's obsessive. It's I want to try to perfect everything as much as possible and over deliver. This sounds like good things, but they're not. Like over deliver with excellence, and then I become really hard on myself and a project if it's not. So partnerships have been hard because I just haven't met somebody that quite matches that in this, not even matches it, but balances it. Paul's probably the best business partner I've had. We've done pretty well together.
I would say that that's a
Yeah,
pretty strong
yeah,
base to start from. That's
yeah.
pretty cool.
And we're so opposite that it actually makes sense. It just like it ebbs and flows with each other really
Mm,
well. Another huge mistake that I made for a long time was not stashing away enough cash and setting myself up for like long-term success sooner. So like my first many, many millions, I was like, I'm gonna get my teeth done. I'm gonna buy my in-laws a car. Like, and so it's not that I wasted it. It's just, it's not here anymore. So
sure, sure.
yeah, as soon as you can, like just start stashing money away for like retirement or investments
Yeah,
or anything.
great
The
advice.
third, yeah, the third biggest mistake I think that I have made, ooh, is that when I first started my business, I did it not based on something I was passionate about,
Mm,
but based on something that I could get good at. Does that make
okay.
sense? Like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it was a path, it was a potential. And so I've had to like work even those the last few years to like find a new way to fall in love with social media and content, and tying it back into psychology and human behavioral science. That's helped a lot. But I'm like, oh my gosh, if I would have, you know, just gone slightly this way or slightly in this direction, I might have been able to done the done for you and scaled the agency side better.
Okay. Nice. I
Yeah.
love it. So like there's going to be people listening to this
Yeah.
podcast that are just getting started. They're wanting to create that following and that influence, Rachel.
Yeah.
What would you say you would do differently, or how would you guide them as a potential future influencer, someone that your kids will be
Yep.
listening to on YouTube in a few years' time? What would you say to that person today to help them on their journey to get started?
Oh man. So, number one, before you start creating, make sure you, your partner, your spouse, whatever, and even sometimes your kids, depending on their ages, you guys have clear boundaries of this is what we won't talk about on camera, because it's really easy to just be like, oh, there's this trend, and before you know it, you say things that you wish you hadn't said online.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. Paul and I have clear, like, here are things we won't talk about, or are sentences that phrase us away from a topic for like interviews and stuff. That's number one. Number two is just spend some time studying your favorite celebrities' comment sections. And the reason for that is because I want you not to be discouraged, but instead to be like, okay, I think fill in the blank, Selena Gomez is wonderful. I think Adam Sandler is wonderful, or whatever, fill in the blank. go and look at how many people hate on them actively, because you
Mm,
have to recognize that it's not personal and these people don't know them, and they're making this decision based on a movie that person did 5 years ago or whatever. So study that and just know that comments are not personal. Number three is when you are triggered by comments, or if you're going viral or going through an attack online, which can happen rightfully and wrongfully so, make sure that you delete the app from your phone and don't log in until it's over.
wow.
Because otherwise, yeah, the overwhelm, I've gone viral good and bad both ways many times. And the bad ones, it can make you feel like the world is over. And
Mm,
you get all those pings and notifications, and every single one is like, you suck. I hope you fall off a cliff. Like, I hope like those kind of things. It can be too much. So delete
sure.
the app, or have someone that you trust, like change your password for a few days and let them just monitor it, tell them not to reply to anything.
That's great
So that's,
advice.
yeah, that's probably, those are the biggest things I would say, but it's a
Love that.
wild adventure.
What about monetization? I have a little section that I like to call the monetization minute. For those people that are starting, what would you suggest as their best ways of generating income from this influence in 60 seconds or less? Like what's your thoughts there?
Number one, create lead magnets, free
Mhm.
resources, etc. Get people on your email list. Make that your main focus beyond creating content. That's where you want to direct people to. And then number two, create an offer that's maybe low ticket to build trust, $7, $24, whatever. And email that to your list along with some value about whatever topic it is that you're diving into. Repeat, create content.
Amazing. Done. That's it. Exactly.
Easy.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the presence of greatness. Rachel Pedersen, the queen of social media. The journey that you've gone through is absolutely inspirational to me. Even just looking at some of the posts and your comments there about how to deal with the haters and stuff online, you're one of the strongest, I guess, moral compass based people that I've come across in our
You.
search. I highly suggest for anybody that's listening, guys, get across to rachelpedersen.com. We'll make sure that the link is in the show notes. Get in touch with this lady. She's amazing. She's a trailblazer. Rachel, thank you so much for spending the time. I've really loved your insights into the world of being an influencer. Is there anything else that you'd like to chat through before we wrap? Anything, any messages you'd like to send out?
Ooh, this is gonna sound interesting, but anytime that anyone listening to this gets stuck, if you are working on developing a software or getting your social media content out, take a couple of moments, close your eyes, and think 5 or 10 years ahead. Think to that future version of yourself and ask yourself, what did they likely do that created exactly where they are today? And then decide if you want to replicate those steps.
I love it. Connecting the dots backwards, absolutely incredible. Rachel Pedersen, thank you so much, guys. RachelPedersen.com. Get in touch with Rachel. Follow along on every channel, your channel of choice. Rachel, again, thank you to you and to Paul and the kids for making the time available. We cannot wait to follow your story along. Please pop back in and tell us about the software as it's going live. We want to make sure we give that a plug for you guys as well. And guys, get in touch with Rachel. This is the way forward to follow people who are really blazing the trail. Rachel, thank you so much for your time.
Walt, thank you for having me.